and I see others grow, and not be in sorrow too, and I see others grieve, and not seek for kind relief.
I think that needs to be a bit slower because it's the meditative hymn. Okay.
And I see others grow, and not be in sorrow too, and I see others grieve, and not seek for kind relief.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes. You're standing in front of flowers, given in memory of my wife, Sally Joy Wednesday, daughter of the church. The reason this church exists.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
And there's the whole family there too.
Oh, wow. Oh, thank you for sharing that.
Her birthday's tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Sure. Sure.
Daughter of Rosemary Firestone and Joseph Joy Wednesday.
Is that it? That's it. Good morning. We have a lot going on. We have a lot of moving pieces. And if the moving pieces don't always follow synchronously as you expect, can I just ask for a moment of patience? Okay? Okay. So, I'm Dave Keegan. I'm a member of this church, and I'm happy to be here with all of you. Whether this is your first or your 1001st time, know that you are welcome, and we are glad to be together with you. We're continuing to navigate our electronics and our online presence and these two new screens that we have. I can't tell you, when I saw those empty boxes out in the Commons, and I thought, oh my gosh, is it really going to happen? So anyway, it's exciting. We're sorting it out, and we ask that you support us in this. We are here, both in person and virtually, to find comfort and recommit ourselves to the mission of supporting one another in our spiritual journeys, working for justice, caring for the earth, and building the common good. We gather to recommit ourselves to dismantling systems of oppression and injustice. It is good to be together. There's one announcement this morning. As you may know, we're having a special congregational meeting at noon today. So after the service, go out, get a cup of coffee. If the children haven't gotten all of the sweets, grab yourself a sweet and come back in here at noon.
Yeah, 11:30 is the meeting, but you also announce the session.
Okay. My understanding was we were beginning to congregate at 11:40 and the meeting was at 12. Is it now? Okay. As I said, let's all flex a little bit. Okay. The meeting will have two agenda items. The first will be to approve the use of up to $175,000 from the endowment fund for HVAC, heating and cooling repairs and replacement over in Holland Hall, and reimbursement to our buildings and grounds maintenance budget in the amount of $20,000 for money that we already spent to get the cooling back in here. The second item on this special congregational meeting will be to ordain Ebony Pease as a community minister. Yeah. That vote is going to happen in the blink of an eye, yes. So, second announcement this evening at 6 o'clock, we're going to have a Zoom discussion session following up on today's service. There will be an email that you will receive this afternoon with the Zoom link, and I hope you'll join us at 6 o'clock to discuss what we've been thinking about to help wrap up this 6 service series. Thank you, Kimberly, for doing them. Okay, so that announcement will be out this afternoon. If there are other issues of concern to you, please reach out to us. If you're ever in need, your church staff is an email or a phone call away. I invite you now to breathe, to relax, and to join in this time of worship.
I just want to say first, it has been an honor to share this series with you and be with you this summer. This is a special place, and I hope you remember that this is a special place. Our opening words come from the Reverend Gretchen Haley. She says, "This is a call for all the people longing for liberation, all who wander too often the desert, not sure of the way forward, too often thirsty and afraid, looking for water. Here is a call to collect ourselves and the hopes we have tucked away, set aside too often for another day. There is nothing tidy or perfect or perfectly possible in this journey. Abundant life is messy and glorious, filled with risk. This is a call for diving in with all the dreams of your heart, the struggles, the silliness, the fear, the hunger, the courage, the community, and love. Here we remember the time for joy is always now. So come, let us worship together. And come, let us sing together our opening hymn, number 131, Our World, or 134, sorry, Our World is One World. And please remain standing for our covenant.
Please join me now as we unite our voices to speak aloud the covenant of our community. These words are known both within our heart and in our order of service. Love is the teaching of this church. The quest of truth is its daily task, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve life in community, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony. This is our covenant with each and with all. Please be seated. We come now to our offertory. Mount Vernon Unitarian Church continues to share the plate with committed organizations that you, our members, have chosen. During the month of August, our offering has been shared with the Friends of Guest House. This nonprofit organization helps female nonviolent ex-offenders in Northern Virginia make the difficult transition from incarceration back into the community. They're determined to make a new life for themselves and often their children, despite the tough obstacles they face in getting job interviews or getting hired, being accepted as tenants, and overcoming trauma and gaining job skills. Guest House, based in Alexandria, has had a remarkable success rate with only 10% of its graduates reoffending within a year, and that compares with 70% of ex-offenders generally reoffending. We're a community that invites spiritual and material generosity from our members and our friends. I give because this is my spiritual community, a place where diversity of thought and belief is both welcomed and fostered. I invite this gathered community to offer whatever you are most comfortable with in spirit and financial generosity for the mission of our church community. If you would like to write and mail a check for the offering, please make it to MVUC, and in the memo line, tell us how you'd like it to be used. You can follow the link in your program to make a one-time or recurrent payment. We are so grateful for your donation. Will the ushers please come forward at this time?
I invite you now into a place of meditation, a piece of quiet, and invite you to hear these words from the Reverend Micah Busey. Can you let your voice crack? You know, like really crack, like you were going for a note you knew you probably couldn't hit, and then just as you'd accepted that you might actually achieve ecstatic, angelic audio, your vocal cords were like, nope. And something shattered, the noise tattered, and broken sound glittered all around you in one enormous, embarrassed pile of popped pride. That's what it will take now, here, when the bullies are bullying every pulpit away from the dispossessed. It's time for the outcast to ease into the spotlight and boldly go for broke. This is not the time for perfectly sung songs. A dearth of daring cacophony might mean our death. We need a chorus that is for us, a rowdy, ride or die outcry, warblers willing to learn to turn into burning balancers of resistance, persistence, and long-distance consistency. Can you let yourself crack? Can you hear your fear and still reach? You might as well say what you need to say. Silence is just a voiceless choice. What are you aching to offer in the opening? What makes us misfits makes us miracles. What divides disrupts our deluded dreams of being the only diva. What tears us in two reshapes the space so we can welcome in the work we've yet to do. And now let us sing a song of further contemplation, number 127, Can I See Another's Woe?
We invite you now to come forward to light a candle of joy, remembrance, or sorrow.
part of what, oh, hello. 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 Part of what are we on? There we go. Hello. Yay. Part of what we're talking about is how do we use our voices? Well, how does it matter? And so I want to tell you this wonderful story that you can imagine in your mind's eye. A story written by Carmen Agradidi called The Rooster Who Would Not Be Quiet. You'll have to participate later in this story. Once there was a village where the streets rang with song from morning until night. Dogs bayed, mothers crooned, engines hummed, fountains warbled, and everybody sang in the shower. Everyone and everything had a song to sing. This made the village of La Paz a very noisy place. It was hard to hear. It was hard to sleep. It was hard to think. No one knew what to do. So they fired the mayor. Now they were a very noisy village without a mayor. And so they held an election. And only Don Pepe promised peace and quiet. Don Pepe won by a landslide. And the next day, a polite law appeared in the village square. No loud singing in public, por favor. Things were getting better already. But then more laws followed, which were not so polite. The signs read, no loud singing at home, then no loud singing, then no singing, and then basta, quiet already. Until finally, the noisy village of La Paz was as silent as a tomb. Even the tea kettles were afraid to whistle. Some people left the village, singing loudly. Others stayed behind and learned to hum, and the rest were just grateful to have a good night's sleep, for crying out loud. 7 very quiet, very, very quiet years passed. Then one evening, a saucy rooster and his family wandered into the village and roosted in a fragrant mango tree. When the little rooster awoke the next morning, he did what roosters were born to do. He sang. He made the sound roosters make. Oh, thank you. Come at 6 o'clock for more animal impersonations. Okay. As his rotten luck would have it, the mango tree grew beneath the cranky mayor's window. Uh-oh. You there, groused Don Pepe at the rooster. No singing, it's the law. Well, that's a silly law, said the merry Galito. Smell the sweet mango tree. How can I keep from singing? Then I'll chop down that stinking tree, huffed Don Pepe. Will you sing then? The plucky rooster shrugged. I may sing a less cheerful song, but I will sing. And he did. Still singing, rooster, snapped Don Pepe. You have no tree, remember? I have no tree, said the gallito, but I have my hens and chicks. How can I keep from singing? Will you sing if I throw you into a cage alone? Threatened Don Pepe. I may sing a lonelier song, but I will sing. And he did. Why are you singing now? Growled Don Pepe. I've taken away your hens and chicks. Well, that makes me very sad, but I still have corn to eat, and I must sing. And if you have no corn, I will sing a hungrier song, but I will sing. And he did, and it sounded like... I'm taking away your food now. Of course, but if the sun can still shine despite the world's troubles, how can I keep from singing? And if you never see the sun again, he ran to get a blanket to cover the rooster's cage. I may sing a darker song, but I will sing. And he did. As the rooster's song echoed down the otherwise soundless streets of La Paz, it stirred up an old familiar longing for a time when everyone and everything had a song to sing. The people of La Paz thought of their friend, the rooster. They were grateful to hear a song when they were too scared to sing for themselves. They They were scared of what Don Pepe might do if they were to sing. The next day, Don Pepe stumbled out in the yard in his nightshirt. He tore away the blanket and said, "You have no tree to roost in, no hens and chicks to comfort you, no grain to fill your belly, and no sun to drive away the shadows. Why are you still singing?" One by one, a quiet crowd began to gather in Don Pepe's yard. "I sing for those who have forgotten how. If I must sing for them as well, Senor, how can I keep from singing? And if I have you made into a soup, I suppose you will sing if you are dead." The entire village held its breath, waiting for the gallito's reply. "Dead roosters sing no song." "Ah!" crowed Don Pepe. Sure, he had won. But a song is louder than one noisy little rooster and stronger than one bully of a mare. And it will never die as long as there is someone to sing it. And there was. So once again, there was a village where the streets rang from the song from morning until night. This made for a very noisy place to live, and that's just the way everyone liked it. So I invite you to remember the Gita's words. "I sing for those who dare not sing, or those who have forgotten how." And now we invite our children and their teachers to make their way towards religious education as we sing them out. Sure this other second mic is on. Try it now.
Is it worth it?
There we go. Okay.
Testing is worth it.
That's right. So a couple of days ago, I had a conversation with the Reverend Nancy MacDonald Ladd, who is currently our communications director at the Unitarian Universalist Association. And somewhere in the mix of this conversation, of catching up and the actual reason for the call, the conversation went to a place where I mentioned a Baptist minister friend of mine who said no matter what he preached on, every week he had to tell the story of Jesus from the garden to the cross. And we wondered, Nancy and I, what is our Unitarian Universalist story? What are we trying to say or do every week? And, well, that ultimately is what this sermon series has been about. For those who are just now attending after a summer away, we've been on a journey through our living tradition, an examination of the foundational theologies of our faith through a bit of history, theology, readings, and songs, all in favor of grounding our understanding, our narratives, if you will, and firming up our foundations. This helps us be better equipped not just to understand what is core to our faith, but how to better live our faith and share our faith. And maybe tell not just some history, but the story of our faith. The story, of course, is complex, as are our core theologies. To review the previous 5 services in the series, Unitarianism says that God is one and we should use our gift of reason to find truth. Universalism tells us that God is love, and what matters most is not the afterlife, but what happens here on earth, and so we should love the hell out of this world. Transcendentalism tells us that God is in everyone and everything, and our direct experience best informs our connections to our spirits and each other. Humanism tells us that whatever we might believe in God or not doesn't matter, because what's most important is prioritizing human potential and the common good. And process theology tells us that, like the universe itself, what matters most is the relationships, the connections, the ways in which we create, are created, and co-create every moment, including how we want to be with each other and how we want to build beloved community. Now, I'll tell you at the end what Nancy and I think our story might be, but for now, let's add one final core theology to our foundation: liberation theology. While the term liberation theology only appears in the 1960s, its roots are, well, not surprisingly, biblical. We see in the Hebrew scriptures, especially in the words of the prophets, who understood early on that some people are oppressed by other people, and that's just not cool. The prophets, Micah, Isaiah, Amos, Hosea, Ezekiel, and others warned their own people to not let oppression become the thing that turns them into the oppressors. We have an example of this in our own hymnals. Please turn to 588. It's a passage from Isaiah chapter 58. Dave will lead us.
Is not this the fast that I choose?
To lose the bonds of injustice, to undo the thongs of the yoke, to let the oppressed go free, and to break every yoke.
Is it not to share your bread with the hungry, and to bring the homeless poor into your house? When you see them naked, to cover them, and not to hide yourself from your own kin.
Then shall your light break forth like the dawn, and your healing shall spring up quickly.
If you remove the yoke from among you, the pointing of the finger, the speaking of evil, if you offer your food to the hungry and satisfy the needs of the afflicted,
you shall be like a watered garden, like a spring whose waters never fail. So it's right there. But biblical interpretation's a funny thing. If you're looking for justification for something, you can find it. Like way back, first part of this series where we talked about the Trinity, which isn't actually in the scriptures. Anyway, thus, Hebrew and Christian scriptures have often been used to justify oppression, discrimination, hate, slavery, racism, and a slew of isms that we are actively fighting today. What they don't realize is that if you cut out all the passages that talk about justice and equity and inclusion, you'd have a pile of scraps in a book that can't even hold itself together. And we know this because somebody has published the Justice Bible, and it is pretty loose. We talked about other ways in which our foundational theologies have called people back to what's actually taught, because remember, our 19th century foundations are Christian. So it's not a surprise that we took notice when the Catholic theologians in Latin America in the 60s looked at the oppression and poverty around them. And empowered by the Second Vatican Council, they looked back at the ways the Bible actually calls for something that is not oppression. Instead, they understood that the core message was a preferential option for the poor, which means this is not just what's taught by the prophets and Jesus himself, but that it is how we are commanded to live, emphasizing and echoing the sentiment found throughout the world's religions to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But it's there to actually promote justice, create equity, show compassion, and take care of those who are in need first. A preferential option for the poor. Now, we've already heard some of this message in our opening and meditation hymns, but when it comes to the fore in number 1027, Cuando el Pobre, or When the Poor Ones, if we were to sing the entire song, we would sing multiple verses in Spanish as originally written. But to get a taste of this piece and its incredible message, we will sing just one verse in English. I'm so thrilled that Eric Porchot is accompanying us on guitar today to help us sing this song. So it's 10:27. When the ones who have nothing still are giving, when the thirsty pass the clear water to share, when the women offer others strength and living, we see God near our side walking away. We see God near our side walking away. So these ideas spread like wildfire, and when Latin American theologian Gustavo Gutierrez wrote the foundational text, A Theology of Liberation, in 1971, this new framing of a liberation theology, well, shook theologians around the world and broke something open. Soon, James Cone, a theologian and professor at Union Theological Seminary in the city of New York, was writing a Black liberation theology, identifying that which some called God, a God of the oppressed. And that became a lens through which we can understand God and the invitation to join in the works to heal the world, saying, and he says, truth is divine action entering our lives and creating the human action of liberation. Cone called for a reckoning, a framing of Jesus as liberator, disrupting the evil that is the root of all injustice and oppression. Dr. Cone calls us to look at the history of slavery, and in his book, The Spirituals and the Blues, he draws a clear connection to the songs that enslaved Africans in America created. Now, there's a whole different series here about the music of enslavement, which I won't do here, although it'd be fascinating, and, well, it's another series. But the short version is that while the masters were trying to teach only select parts of the Bible in order to control the people they wrongly enslaved, the enslaved themselves knew a deeper call to freedom, and the idea of a heaven and salvation became both a rallying cry and a way of humanizing themselves. So we have some of these songs in our great hymnal, Singing the Living Tradition, and it's important to know right now that for those of us who are white, the spirituals are not natively our songs, but we can hear and be allies in the deep human need for justice and liberation as we sing in solidarity. So with this in mind, let us sing 156, the first verse of O Freedom. So liberation theology becomes then a framework for understanding other oppressions throughout the world. Now, I talked a little bit already about James Cone and the great opportunity I had to be in a class with him. And he would always start his classes with a version of, you have to write your own theology. For many, it was a truth that we carried only in our hearts and our spirits, but for some, it was a clarion call, a call to action. And out of Dr. Cone's classroom came Rosemary Ruther and Mary Daly, who said Cone was ignoring the women and wrote feminist theology. Then it was Dolores Williams, who said Cone was ignoring black women and wrote a womanist theology. And it was Patrick Chang who challenged Cone on LGBTQ issues and wrote a queer theology. Elsewhere, it's Nancy Eislin writing a liberation theology of disability. Daisy Machado and Ada Maria Sassi Diaz writing about indigenous Americans throughout the Americas and their liberation. Others around the world, like Kwok Pui Lan, writing about Asian feminism, and Arvind Nirmal writing in India about Dalit liberation, and more and more and more, this ever-widening circle of concern in a liberating and liberative framework. And so it's no wonder it becomes a foundational theology of Unitarian Universalism, because it's kind of already been there. And of course, we didn't call it that to start, because we were still exploring what it meant in the 60s and 70s to be a consolidated faith of Unitarians and Universalists. And of course, humanism was shaping our mid-20th century understandings of who we were and who we wanted to become. However, we weren't immune to this idea, in fact, embraced it. And in the midst of our calls for peace, liberation shows up, because the idea that we must not be oppressors, but instead fight for the oppressed, is one deeply rooted in those earlier theologies. An example of this is the song When Every Woman in the World, number 1026 in the Teal Hymnal. We're going to sing verses 1 and 3. 1 and 3. Of liberation theology, while Christian, becomes universal as we explore what's at its heart. In Faith Without Certainty, UU theologian Paul Razor writes that liberation theology speaks to the underside of history and offers perspectives on issues such as poverty and oppression that we might otherwise miss. To be in solidarity with those who are oppressed requires empathy and imagination. And it's taken us a bit to integrate this. We've always been a justice-seeking people, but we got distracted by the atomized individualism of the search for truth and meaning. And we lost the spiritual underpinnings of why it matters. And as a result, we faltered as a faith in our accountability to the communities we engage in with our justice work. Our own Black liberation theologian, Mark Morrison Reed, reminds us of this. If you turn to 580, the task of the religious community, I invite you to read this piece in unison with Dave. 580.
The central task
of the religious community is to unveil the bonds that bind each to all. There is a connectedness, a relationship discovered amid the particulars of our own lives and the lives of others. Once felt, it inspires us to act for justice. It is the church that assures us
that we are not struggling for justice on our own, but as members of a larger community. The religious community is essential, for alone our vision is too narrow to see all that must be seen, and our strength too limited to do all that must be done. Together our vision widens, and our strength is renewed.
Together, relationship, which we heard a couple of weeks ago when we talked about process. We forget sometimes that just because something doesn't affect me, it doesn't matter, right? Instead, we're called to remember what theologian Frederick Buechner says, that there can be no peace and joy for me until there is peace and joy for you also. So this attitude toward liberation, toward a collective understanding that we all work together in this life-saving work is vital. It is echoed throughout our theologies, and perhaps we can even say liberation theology is what happens when you take these other core theologies to their inevitable conclusion. But it's also hard. The ideas that are foundational to who we are do not let us off the hook, nor let us rest on our laurels or feel holier than thou. No, if we are to truly live our faith, we have to recognize that our faith is a call to be sanctuaries of radical truth-telling and abundant compassion, so that the all-embracing love at the center of our tradition can serve to make us all more whole. We must act, and like the rooster in our story, we must sing for those who are afraid to or have forgotten how. And being that voice for love is really, 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 really hard right now. The forces that surround us are intimidating and angry and violent, and scary, and they want us to be scared. They want us to comply in advance. They want us to forget our neighbor, forget the poor, forget those who are not like us. And it's hard. Bishop Desmond Tutu reminds us of this and brings us hope. So we turn to 593 and join Dave in reading responsively, Liberation is Costly.
Liberation is costly. Even after the Lord had delivered the Israelites from Egypt, they had to travel through the desert.
They had to bear the responsibilities and difficulties of freedom.
There was starvation and thirst, and they kept complaining.
They complained that their diet was monotonous.
Many of them preferred the days of bondage and the flesh pots of Egypt.
We must remember that liberation is costly. It needs unity.
We must hold hands and refuse to be divided. We must be ready.
Some of us will not see the day of our liberation physically.
But those people will have contributed to the struggle.
Let us be united. Let us be filled with hope. And let those who respect one another. But beloveds, I say unto you, be not daunted, because this is who we are and who all our theologies have told us we are. Just a couple of days ago, UUA President Sofia Betancourt wrote this: Beloveds, as we do the work we are called to do in these days, know that we are part of a long tradition. Individually and collectively, we do not go it alone, but draw on the power of ancestors to guide us. Indeed, we have raised ourselves up from people who knew the cost of a liberal and liberating tradition. And in our obstinate, inherited insistence that another way is possible, we root ourselves in their living, their resilience, and their striving. This is our living tradition, grounded in truth, moral conscience, gratitude, connection, creation, and liberation. So back to my conversation with Nancy, we asked each other, what is our story? Or in the framework of comparative theologian Stephen Prothero, who suggests we have different religions because they're asking different questions, and solving different problems. What is the question we're wrestling with that makes Unitarian Universalism's centering of love the answer? Our thoughts are a work in progress, by which I mean we only talked about 49 minutes ago, or hours ago, sorry, hours? Wasn't minutes. I was here 49 minutes ago, okay. But perhaps the story is about human nature. It's an intriguing thought. Whether it's the nature of our minds, the nature of our moral code, the nature of our connections to the earth and to each other, the nature of our creative energies, or the nature of our relationships, we are telling this story over and over again. And we're finding that when we tell this story, we call goodness and compassion and justice and generosity and relationships and independence and liberation and even God by the name love. It is love. And it is love that moves us. So love is showing up a lot in a lot of the new songs we're now starting to learn from our new digital hymnal, Sing Out Love. And if I'd known we were going to have screens today, I would have prepared lyrics on the slides for you, but since we don't, there's an insert. And we'll be singing a couple of these, but hopefully with this new digital hymnal, your congregation will subscribe and you'll learn a lot more of these great songs. This new song by Melissa Jeter embodies the spirit of liberation and indeed the spirit of our faith. So I invite you to look at that insert, sing along as you can. We're all just learning it too, so you can rise in body or in spirit as we sing, If There Ain't No Room, or If There Ain't Room. invite you to stay standing, because just real quick, as our service and our series draws to a close, I wish you the unbelievable, expansive love that is available to all. The serenity and grounding of unflinching peace, and the vibrant and powerful and life-sustaining joy And it's impossible to end without one more song, a call to recognize what is already here for us and what we hope for our future. We're going to sing another song, a new one from Sing Out Love. It's called Joy in the Morning. The lyrics are in your order of service because it's pretty easy to pick up. But I invite you, as you learn it, to sing along with us and carry its blessing with us throughout our days. We find joy in the morning, joy in the morning, joy in the morning. In the morning we'll find joy. We find hope in our children, hope in our children, hope in our children. In our children we'll find hope. We find strength in each other, strength in each other, strength in each other. In each other we'll find strength. There is love all around us, love all around us, love all around us, all around us. There is love. Go in love, go in joy, go in peace.
And join me, please, in the words we say each week as we commit ourselves and extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. Those we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And just to remind you, we'll be together again very shortly for our special, okay? And this evening at 6 o'clock to discuss what we've been thinking about over the past 6 weeks. Go grab a cup of coffee. We'll see you soon.